So we spoke about last week that it had been leaked or revealed or reported on that Sony was stepping back from PC ports of their games, in particular the first party AAA story type games. And it looks like live service games will continue to go onto other services, in particular PC. I'm not sure what it means for Xbox, but given Xbox, the next one, which we'll talk about later on in the show, is going to be a PC, basically a pre-built PC. It makes sense. They want to get the biggest player base for these live service games, which is what live service games are all about. If there's no players playing them, ain't nobody going to play your game. So they're taking back ownership and control of all the single player franchises, and that is going to be a big part of the value proposition for you wanting to buy a PlayStation. Obvious, it makes sense. That's what Nintendo have been doing for years. That's what Sony used to do. They tried to experiment with bringing their games to PC. It doesn't seem to have worked out. But two of the games which were in development, so we had planned versions of Saros and Ghost of Yotei, have been scrapped. So that's two games. Well, one is already available on PS5 right now, which is Ghost of Yotei, and Saros is, on the way. But both of them have now been pulled, and this is according to Bloomberg, who are reporting that these first-party ports have all been pulled within the last few weeks. So this is a relatively recent change. We don't know why they've done this, even though we have speculated. And it just makes more sense. I think you've got a lot of these competitors moving into the PC space. You've got PC gaming in general, which is just getting more expensive, though, unfortunately, due to this crazy AI boom. You've then got the Steam machine, which when it comes out is going to be like a console type competitor because it should or can live in your living room, for example. And then we've got the new Xbox coming along as well, which is like a pre-built PC. So having this situation where your PlayStation exclusives can be bought on Steam and then played on the Steam machine and on this new Xbox console, Sony's probably thought, no, I don't think so. We're pulling back from PC. And it makes sense to me. But disappointing if you were looking forward to these games. So it means if you want to play Saros, Ghost of Yotei, or any of the other upcoming single-player games we know about, like Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet, or Marvel's Wolverine, you are going to need to have a PlayStation 5 to do that. What do you think about this, people? I think this makes sense. This is what competition's all about. Brings out the best in everyone. So I hope this does happen. I hope Sony, I would say maybe deliver even more better games, move away from this live service fascination they've had in recent times, get back to the roots. There's so many other franchises they have which they could revive, which don't need to be big, huge AAA games. I actually think I might do a dedicated video on some of the forgotten or lost franchises which PlayStation has in their back pocket, which I think a lot of us would be happy to see return. Sound off if there's any which jump out to you, which you'd like to see. For me, there's some just right off the top of my head, like your Wipeouts, your Twisted Metal. I know they're both kind of racing games and stuff like that. MotorStorm, another one. Like, these games surely would be able to be developed a lot quicker and a lot cheaper than, like a God of War, for example. Get them out in between these games. But yeah, we will see what happens in the future, but it's looking like Sony is very much done with PC, and that's not all, which we'll talk about in our next quick news story.